Hi, I'm Jessica with the Santa Paula Art Museum, and welcome to Art Club.
This project is called Hot Cup of Tea, and we're creating a still life painting of a teacup sitting on a table, with hot tea inside and steam coming out of it. This week we are inspired by the artist Henri Matisse, who loved to make still life paintings, and he loved making scenes with lots of patterns and textures.
A still life is a type of painting that a lot of artists like to make. A still life is when you use things around your house and put them on a table and arrange them in an interesting way. Matisse used lots of things around his house, like cups and vases and even his goldfish. We are using a teacup on the table for our still life.
Let's get started with your 9x12 paper being vertically, meaning the longer sides are on the left and right, and the shorter sides are on the bottom and the top. The supplies you'll be using is your pastels, a black marker, something to adhese, so glue stick, glue, or tape, your cotton ball, and your 9x6 piece of paper. So the first step is for us to glue our 9x6 paper at the bottom half of the page. Again, you can use glue, glue stick, or any kind of tape so that you can adhese it together. For this next step, we're going to use our black marker and start drawing our teacup. Our first step is to start by creating an oval on the top half of the page. I'm going to use the middle. After you've done that, let's create the bottom of the cup by making a small arch on the middle of the bottom half of the page. The next step is to create lines from our oval to the mark we made at the bottom. So far, we have our cup. Now let's add the handle and maybe also a plate. So this next step is to create 2 dots on the right side of our cup to create the handles. Then 2 more dots at the bottom, and you're going to connect the outer dots and the inner dots connect also. This is how we have our handle. Next, let's eyeball an inch from the bottom of the cup.
Let's make a dot here about an inch from the bottom of the cup.
And on the left and the right, we're going to connect them in a big oval to create our plate. Great! One last touch to our drawing is to create the steam that is coming from the cup above. Notice how the steam only rises from the top of the oval, and we don't want it inside the cup because we're going to draw inside. Now let's get started on our background. So using your pastels, I'm going to use orange because it's nice and bright. We're going to create some patterns. Make wavy lines that start from the top left corner and make their way all across the page. Our eyes will have fun looking at all these patterns. Pattern is one of our vocabulary words. This is a great example of our vocabulary word patterns. Patterns are what we make when we repeat lines or shapes over and over. Those repeated lines or shapes make a pattern, and patterns are so much fun to look at because it keeps your eyes very busy and your eyes have a lot of fun looking at all the details. Now let's make the same wavy lines but going across from the right top corner across the page, the opposite way. Now our background will have a very interesting look. The next step is to take in another color and darken in your lines and alternate between two lines. So this is where I chose a dark blue for my lines and a lime green. Because I wanted to thicken my lines, I'm adding in color. I also see that my colors are blue and orange, which are complementary colors. So I just wanted to add some complementary colors. Next, my other lines will be something a little more bright and experimental, and that's why I chose lime green. Yeah, it doesn't show up too well on the paper, but it was one of my preferences. This background pattern is looking very good. So now what I'm going to do is the same thing with the lines that started from the top right corner, and I'm just going to alternate between the two colors I chose, being pink and red, and we're going to thicken the lines in the background. Next we can add some shapes. I added dots and crosshatches to give the eye a lot to look at because the background can look either like a wallpaper or like a very interesting pattern, and this is going to make our cup stand out even more because we are going to try to add more solid colors in our cup than instead of using a lot of lines like how we did in this background. Very good! Another option for patterns is using dots, big solid colors of shape. We're going to use some more reds and orange for the inside of the cup. Now, using other colors like purple and blue, I'll decorate the outside of our cup. We can make a grid by using 2 vertical lines and 2 horizontal lines. This next step, we can add rectangular shapes inside each grid box and then add more color until each grid box is filled. Use any colors you might like. Great! This next step is to decorate the handle, and we can make another pattern by using lines to separate the handle into sections. I'll be using solid color in a pattern. I'll be using the colors black, yellow, red, blue, and I'm just going to repeat. Now let's add a pattern at the bottom half of our page. I like zigzags, so let's add those. I didn't use much green, so I'll be using that color, but you can choose any color. Let's add also some wavy lines. We only have a few more steps to go, so let's add the shadow underneath the cup. You can create beautiful shadows by using blended blues and purple pastels. This is our last step with the pastels, which is to decorate the plate, and you can add some rings of color for the plate just to make it look like it has depth. Our final step is to glue the cotton balls to the top of our cup to make it look like the steam on the wavy lines we created earlier in the beginning. All I'm doing is pulling at the cotton ball to make the strands as thin as possible so that it can become the steam. It's okay if it comes off in chunks also. It's a good idea to either have the cotton as thick or as thin as you want it to. So using either glue from a bottle, a glue stick, or tape, you can attach the cotton to the top. That concludes our project, Hot Cup of Tea. I hope you enjoyed this project and I can't wait to see you in the next video.